Hey guys, it's Kendra here with your MoveWell workout of the month for March. I trust that you're already done with your warm-up and you're ready to jump right in. If you haven't caught the March intro video, take a second to go back and take a look at that because I've included some important form pointers that I want you to see before you get started. Okay, let's start the workout. We start with a speed skater. Sit into your legs and step side to side. Here we go. Aim for width, and then if you want to make it harder, you can speed it up or add a little bit of hop in your step. If you need to make it easier, just stand up a little bit taller and make the movement smaller. This one's designed to get your heart rate up, so if that's what you're feeling, you're doing it right. Be sure that you're keeping your eyes straight ahead and you're not folding forward at the hips. And rest. Single leg hip hinge. Place your hands on your hips and balance on your right leg. Hinge from the hips and send your left leg straight back, trying to make a straight line from the top of your head to your heels. This is a tricky one for balance, so if you want to make this one easier, work just the hip hinge by keeping both feet on the floor and folding in half from the hips. You can also stand close to a wall or a sturdy object. And if you want to make this one harder, go back to the single leg hip hinge and add a knee lift instead of tapping the floor. And rest. Single leg hip hinge, other side. Balance on your left leg. Hinge from the hips and send your right leg straight back, keeping a nice long line from your head to your heel. I'm going to keep this going and turn sideways for you. Sometimes slower is better when it comes to balance, so try not to rush this one. And again, if you want to make it easier, set both feet down or hold on to a wall. If you want to make it harder, just increase the balance challenge by lifting your knee at the top of the movement. And rest. Chair pose. We borrow this one from yoga. Place your feet about hip width apart and then send your hips back and down as you bend your knees. Reach your arms straight ahead and try to keep your back nice and long. We just hold in chair pose on this one for the full interval. If you want to make it easier, consider doing reps of chair pose. So sit for a breath or two and then stand right back up, just like you're doing air squats. And if you want to make this one harder, see what it feels like to just elevate your arms so that they're beside your ears instead of straight out in front of you. Be careful to not shrug your shoulders when you do this. Keep your back nice and long and your neck long as well. And rest. Supine trunk extension. We're going to the mat for this one. Lie down and elevate your knees. Extend your arms, activate your abdominals, and lower your knees to one side, bringing them back to the center and then going the other direction. Try to control this movement with your abdominal muscles rather than just rolling side to side without control. If you need to make this one easier, just shorten the movement and keep your knees closer to the midline. You can make this one harder by rotating, straightening your legs before you bring them back to the center, and then bending them again before you rotate the other direction. Remember to reset in the middle if you are adding the harder option. And rest. We're staying on the mat for a bird dog. Flip over into all fours. Place your hands right underneath your shoulders and extend one arm, extending the opposite leg. Take time to hold here before you switch sides. Squeeze the muscles in your hips and your abdominals. You can make this one easier by taking the arms out of the movement and extending one leg at a time, keeping your back flat like a tabletop, as if you've got a tray of refreshing drinks sitting on your back and you don't want to spill it. If you want to make this one harder, turn it into a crouching bird dog. Elevate your knees off the mat and then extend one arm and the other arm, again trying to keep your back flat like a tabletop. Towel lateral extension. Grab your towel and come up onto your feet. This one will challenge your balance. Hold your towel about shoulder width apart and then extend it almost overhead. Step behind with one foot and hinge sideways. Come back to the center and go the other direction. Think about the muscles in your abdomen. Keep them active without hyperextending your spine or arching back. You can make this one a little bit easier by lowering the towel or not going quite as far. And then you can make it harder just by extending the towel straight overhead, making your shoulders do a little bit more of a stretch with the movement. And rest. Plank half jack, or back down on the mat. Set up your plank position with your hands underneath your shoulders and then elevate your knees. Keeping the rest of your body super still, tap one foot out to the side and alternate. You can make this one easier by coming to a kneeling plank, and you can still extend one leg side to side. You'll just have to pick a knee up when you do it. If you want to make this one harder, pull your knee all the way forward towards your elbow. So instead of tapping out, it's a plank lunge. And rest. Half kneeling wood chop. Kneel on one knee and place the other foot in front. Grab a hold of your towel about shoulder width or a little bit closer. We rotate again on that barbershop pole. So rotate up and overhead in one direction, come right back down in front of your kneeling hip. Remember from the intro video that you can do this one from a staggered standing stance if kneeling is uncomfortable on your knee joint. If your shoulders are uncomfortable, just bend at the elbows in between the extension or in the middle of the rotation. So bend and press, bend and straighten. And you can make this one a little bit harder, surprisingly, by just scooting your hands closer together on the towel. And rest. Now we repeat that half kneeling wood chop on the other side. So trade knees, start with your towel right in front of your lower hip, and then rotate at a diagonal. Remember your options. You can bend at the elbows if your shoulder joint's feeling a little tired, or you can stand if your knees are tired. Scoot your hands a little bit closer together if you want to feel more of a challenge. Keep your abdominals engaged and let your eyes follow the direction that you're traveling. And of course, sometimes when we're concentrating on movement and balance, we accidentally hold our breath. So be sure you're breathing. And rest. All right, round two, speed skater. Here we go. Remember, we're aiming for width first. I like to use the width of my mat as a guide, but that sort of depends on how long your legs are. Make it easier by standing a little bit taller and making your movement smaller. Make it harder by going faster or getting a little bit lower. And rest. Single leg hip hinge. Balance on your right leg. Hands go on hips, and we hinge forward. Begin. So pay attention to your standing leg. Keep just a slight bend in that knee. And be careful not to lock it out completely. And remember to aim for a nice straight long line from the top of your head to your lifted heel. Always have the option to hold on to a wall or a sturdy object, or keep both feet on the ground until you feel good about the hip hinge. And rest. Single leg hip hinge, other side. Balance on your left leg and hinge forward. Remember, you can make this exercise a little bit more challenging by pulling your knee through. Do a balance at the end of the movement. Otherwise, just tap the floor before you start again. This is another one of those movements where sometimes slower is more effective. So you don't have to feel pressured to rush the movement. In fact, you might want to pause at the bottom and pause at the top and just see what that feels like. And rest. Chair pose. Set your feet about hip width apart. Hips go back and then down. Sit and hold. And since we're not actually moving very much in chair pose or at all, you can think a lot about your form. Press down into your feet. Press back into your hips. Make sure that your abdominal muscles are engaged, and then try to pull your shoulders back just a little bit without shrugging them up towards your ears. Also, make sure you're breathing. And rest. Supine trunk rotation. Work to keep your shoulders down the whole time. Begin. It's really important that you think about the muscles in your abdominals to stop and to initiate the movement. So take your time. And rest. We flip over for bird dog. Set up in all fours, hands right under your shoulders, knees right under your hips. Extend opposite arm, opposite leg, trying to lift to shoulder level, and then alternate. Again, pause to squeeze before you reset. and rest. Towel lateral extension. Stand up tall and extend the towel just slightly overhead. Step behind and across the midline for a side bend and alternate. It's not required, but it feels really good to coordinate your breath so that you inhale as you stretch up, exhale as you side bend. And you can experiment with how far back or how far across you step the back leg, just to see what feels good, what feels challenging, what feels comfortable. And rest. Plank, half jack. Come on down to plank position and tap side to side. Remember your options to set your knees on the mat if you like, or to pull through into a plank lunge. And rest. Half kneeling wood chop. Pick one knee, hold the towel in front of the lower hip. Rotate up and across on that vertical axis without leaning forward or leaning back.
Nothing else has been comparable. I'll never have to be alone. So if you have to go, we go together. Wherever we end up, that's enough.
And rest.
So I won't give up. I won't even when we both trip and start to fall. No, I won't give up.
We'll switch to the other side. Kneeling half wood chop. And I'm going to turn sideways for this one because I want to show you something about the back leg. Step one foot in front, hold your towel in front of the lower hip, and rotate up and across. Sometimes balance can be a challenge in this exercise, and so check out my back foot. You can keep your toe flat, or you can curl it under, put your heel just a little bit higher. And you may find that one of those positions feels a little more natural, a little more comfortable than the other. Neither one is wrong, so you can play around with it. See what feels good.
So if we have to go, we go together.
And rest.
Wherever we end up, that's enough. So I won't give up. I won't even when we both trip and start to fall. we have to go to stay in control. So I won't give up. I won't give up. Even when we both trip and start to fall. No, I won't give up. I won't even when our backs against the wall.
All right, round 3. We start with a speed skater. Ready? Begin. Just like any of the other moves that we're doing today in this workout, it's really important for you to keep your abdominals engaged, especially if you're starting to feel a little fatigue in your low back. Tighten up your abs, that'll help. And rest. Single leg hip hinge. Balance on your right leg and hinge from the hips. Begin. Extend your left leg back and then reset. When it comes to balance exercises, it helps to focus on a point that is not moving, maybe slightly in front of you on the floor. Keep your gaze fixed on your focal point. And remember to keep a slight bend in your standing leg. And rest. Single leg hip hinge, other side. Ready? Begin. It's not out of the ordinary to have one leg that feels a little bit more capable than the other when it comes to single leg standing balance exercises. So you don't have to worry a whole lot about that. Read into it. That'll get better the more balance training you do. And rest. Chair pose. Check out your feet, position them about hip width apart, hinge back with the hips, and then bend your knees. Have a seat and hold. Remember all those posture and form pointers that we talked about. Scan your body, make sure you can still see your toes. Make sure your abs are turned on nice and strong. Make sure your shoulders are down, your neck is long. Remember, you can come out of it if you want to and sit right back into your chair. Keep breathing. And rest. Supine trunk rotation, down to the mat. Elevate your knees, extend the arms and keep your shoulders down. Begin. Remember to concentrate on your abdominal muscles and go only as far as you can go while still controlling the movement with your core. If you find that you've gone so far that you roll all the way over onto your side, no big deal, start over, but don't go so far next time. Try to keep your knees close to one another, thighs side by side. And rest. Let's flip over for bird dog. Set up your tabletop and begin. And rest. All right, we're on our feet. Lateral extension. Extend the towel and begin. Try to make this as much of a lateral movement as possible. Think of yourself leaned up against a wall. Your shoulders, your hips, the backs of your legs are against that wall, and you're just leaning side to side without, again, leaning forward or leaning back. And rest. Back down to the mat. Plank, half jack. Set up your plank, kneeling or extended. Activate your abs and begin. rest.
Though I know that it'll rain some more, our heads we hold up above the clouds. So if we have to go, we go together.
Half kneeling wood chop. Take one knee and rotate up and across. Begin.
That's enough. So I won't give up. I won't give up. Even when we both trip and start to fall. No, I won't give up. Even with our backs against the wall. So we have
And rest.
to go to stay in control. So I won't give up. I won't
Half kneeling wood chop, other side. Ready? Begin.
start to fall. No, I won't give up. Even with our backs against the wall.
And rest. That's it. We made it all the way through 3 rounds. I hope you're feeling great about the work that you've done today. Be sure to stretch now that we're finished, and we'll see you next time.